Right now, 75% of Australian businesses say their AI deployment is actively making them money. Like they are confident it's working.
Yeah, they feel it.
Right. But if you put their CFO in a room and ask them to mathematically prove it on paper, 64% of them will just stare blankly back at you.
Oh, yeah. It's a total deer in the headlights moment.
It really is. So welcome to the deep dive. If you are an Australian business owner or a C-level executive, you're in exactly the right place today. I'm Lex, and alongside Vera from the C9 podcast show, we're unpacking the AI ROI paradox of 2026.
hmm
And a huge welcome to all the dedicated followers of the C9 podcast and business page tuning in right now.
It's fantastic to be here because that statistic you just mentioned, that's exactly what's keeping executive teams awake at night right now.
Yeah, I bet.
Because, knowing something is working and actually proving it to a board of directors, those are two completely different universes.
Absolutely. Well, let's talk about that gap, right? Because normally business investments have this built-in expectation of precision.
Right.
Like if a manufacturer buys a new conveyor belt, they just watch it move boxes twice as fast. The accountant checks the ledger and says, yep, there's the return.
Yeah, it's incredibly binary. It works and makes money, or it just doesn't.
Exactly. It's visible, it's physical, it's isolated. But AI isn't a conveyor belt. It's this invisible layer of intelligence spread across like multiple departments.
Right, which creates what we call diagnostic muddy water.
Muddy waters. I like that.
Yeah, because you have business leaders who can they can feel the momentum, but they just can't isolate the financial impact.
Which brings us to a scenario that's playing out in boardrooms across, Sydney and Melbourne every single day. Let's just walk through it.
Let's do it.
So an executive champions an AI rollout. They drop, say, $150,000 to $300,000 to get it off the ground.
Which is a standard enterprise investment.
Right. And the launch happens. And the vibes are genuinely good, right? The team is moving faster, customer service wait times are down, the bottlenecks seem to be clearing up.
Everyone's happy.
Everyone's thrilled. Until that quarterly review hits,
Yes.
the CFO looks across the table and asks the million-dollar question. They say, what exactly did that $200,000 investment yield us this quarter?
And you can hear a pin drop in that room.
Total silence.
And that silence, that's the measurement paradox in action.
Yeah.
Because what actually happened there, the company skipped the single most crucial step in the entire deployment lifecycle.
Which is?
They failed to collect baseline data before they ever flipped the switch on the AI.
Oh, wow.
I mean, think about it from a purely scientific standpoint. If you don't have a rock-solid, mathematically verified record of exactly how long a process took yesterday,
Then you have zero ground to stand on when you claim it's faster today.
exactly, you have no proof.
Okay, let's unpack this because it sounds like it's like building a multi-million-dollar house, but refusing to pay for blueprints and then acting surprised when you don't know where the plumbing is.
That's a perfect analogy. Or it's like trying to calculate how much gas your car saved by using a new route on a road trip, but you completely forgot to check your odometer or your fuel gauge before you left.
Right. You might feel like you got there faster, but you can't prove you actually saved a dime.
Exactly. And the consequences of not checking that odometer are just catastrophic for future innovation. Because without that baseline data, you immediately lose your funding for phase 2.
Because the board won't sign off?
Right. The board simply won't approve the next AI project without concrete proof of the first project's financial value. So the initiatives just stall out.
And worse, you end up with wasted capital, right? You're stuck paying ongoing vendor subscription costs for a system where you can't even demonstrate the value it's supposedly providing.
Yeah, it's a nightmare. And try to go back and fix it.
Oh, I was just going to ask about that. Can't you just measure it later?
You can try. But let's say you realize at month 6 that you have no data. So you try to retrofit a measurement system.
Okay.
According to the research, that retroactive scramble ends up costing upwards of $50,000 just in remediation and consulting fees.
Wait, $50,000 just to figure out what you should have been measuring?
Yes. You're literally paying a premium to guess what your business used to look like.
That is insane, because that measurement infrastructure should have just been built in from day one, right?
Yeah.
At zero extra cost, if the deployment was planned correctly.
Exactly.
So if missing the baseline data is the disease here, what's the cure? And, I mean, why on earth do so many smart companies keep falling for these quick fix deployments?
Well, there is a very specific villain in this story.
Oh, I love the industry term for them.
The AI Cowboy.
The AI Cowboy.
Yeah, and the AI Cowboy is incredibly appealing to a stressed executive who You know, they just want to get moving and show the board they're doing something with AI.
Right. They ride into town with this incredible pitch like, we'll deploy your AI in 4 weeks for $50,000. No discovery phase needed, no lengthy meetings. Just tell us what you want and we'll build it fast.
Sounds great, right?
It sounds like a dream for a company feeling left behind.
But it's a total trap. Let's look at the actual timeline of what happens when you hire the Cowboy.
Okay, walk me through it.
So weeks 1 through 4, they actually do build it fast.
Fair enough.
Right, there's absolutely no measurement planning, but the system functions.
Hmm.
Then, by month 3, you realize you have no baseline data to track any of the benefits you think you're seeing.
Oh.
Yeah, and by month 6, you've spent the initial $50,000, plus you've had to burn another $30,000 trying to manually calculate your ROI because your CFO is demanding answers.
Wow. So now you're $80,000 in the hole and you're doing math on a spreadsheet.
Yes, and it gets worse. By month 9, you want to expand this AI into other departments, but the board blocks the expansion because you can't mathematically prove that phase 1 worked.
So you're just stuck.
You're completely stuck. The Cowboy built you a system that delivers entirely unmeasurable value, and then they disappear to the next gig.
Okay, so the source material says the antidote to this whole nightmare is something called a strategic 90-minute discovery call.
Yes.
But I have to push back here.
Go for it.
I hear 90-minute discovery call and my corporate buzzword alarm goes off.
That's fair.
Isn't that just a disguised sales pitch? Like, how does a conversation protect a company from an $80,000 mistake?
It's a very common assumption. But a proper discovery call, like the ones run by C9, is actually a zero-cost risk prevention tool.
Okay.
It separates the genuine strategic partners from those cheap builders who just want to launch and leave. During these 90 minutes, no coding happens. No one is selling you a software license.
So what are you doing?
You're establishing the exact baselines you need to survive that CFO confrontation later.
Break down the mechanics of that for me. How exactly do you draw those baselines in just 90 minutes?
It's a highly structured 5-phase process. So the first 20 minutes are dedicated entirely to process understanding.
Like how things work right now.
Exactly. How does the workflow operate today? And we're talking granular details. What's the error rate over the last 12 months? How many hours does the team spend on this specific task?
So that becomes your permanent before picture.
Yes. Then the next 20 minutes shift to AI opportunity assessment.
Okay.
What percentage of this process can actually be safely automated? And what's the tangible business impact of solving it? Then comes the really critical part, 20 minutes of measurement planning.
Ah, this is where we build the dashboard.
Precisely. You define the specific success metrics you're going to use, and you decide how the AI is going to automatically track that data on a live dashboard.
Oh, so you engineer the AI to report its own success.
Right, so you aren't stuck using manual spreadsheets later. The remaining time is just split between mapping out a realistic implementation timeline and finally a clear Q&A to establish budget boundaries.
And you walk away with a clear roadmap for ROI measurement before a single line of code is integrated.
Exactly. You move from guessing to knowing. You build the AI with the measurement in mind from the very beginning.
So once a company makes the smart choice to measure from day one, what exactly are they measuring?
That is the big question.
Right. And this is where we need to unpack C9 Era's battle-tested 7-metric AI ROI framework.
Yes, which is so crucial.
Because currently, over 50 Australian enterprises are using this exact framework to secure their board funding. And right out of the gate, we have to highlight a massive mistake that organizations make.
Oh, mistake number 1.
Yes, mistake number 1 from the data. Only counting direct labor savings. If you only measure the headcount or the hours saved, you're actively missing 60% of the actual value the AI is delivering.
It's a critical oversight. I mean, labor savings are important, obviously, but they're just the tip of the iceberg.
Right.
The C9 framework categorizes the value into 3 distinct buckets: direct financials, operational and risk advantages, and quantifiable intangibles.
Okay, let's look at the direct financials first, specifically metric 1, labor cost reduction.
This one is the easiest to grasp conceptually.
Yeah, you just measure the hours saved per process multiplied by the hourly labor cost. But in the Australian context, you have to account for award wages, superannuation, and on-cost rate.
Exactly. It's not just the base salary.
Right. Professional services salaries here average between $80 and $120 an hour when you include all those overheads. So let's look at the mechanics of a real example.
Okay.
An Australian professional services firm deployed AI and reduced their manual data entry time by 3 hours a day.
Right. And the math on that is straightforward. 3 hours a day at $90 an hour across roughly 250 working days in a year.
Which equals what, 67,000?
$67,500 saved annually.
Wow.
Yeah, so if the AI implementation cost $100,000, over 3 years, that one metric alone delivers over $200,000 in proven ROI.
But how do we get to metric 2, which is revenue uplift? Like, how do you prove that an AI actually caused a customer to buy more?
This is where you have to use control groups.
Okay, explain that.
So for instance, an Australian e-commerce company deployed an AI product recommendation engine. They didn't just turn it on for everyone.
Oh, they split the traffic.
Exactly. They routed 80% of their web traffic through the AI
Yeah.
and 20% through their legacy system simultaneously.
That makes total sense because that isolates the AI's impact from external variables like, a seasonal holiday rush or a big marketing push.
Right. You eliminate the variables.
And what was the result?
The AI group saw a 3% conversion uplift compared to the control group.
3% might not sound like a lot to some people, but on a large scale.
Oh, it's huge. On their $10 million annual revenue, that's $300,000 in additional top-line revenue purely driven by the AI.
Just from that 3% bump.
Yes. And at a 40% margin, that translates to $120,000 in pure incremental profit every single year.
That is incredible. So it's easy to point at payroll or sales and see direct financial impact. But the CFO isn't just looking at the cost to do business, right?
No, they're looking at the cost of getting it wrong.
Exactly. Which brings us to the second bucket, operational and risk advantages. How does this framework quantify risk prevention?
Well, that's metric 3, quality improvement and error reduction. In Australia, the cost of errors in highly regulated industries is just staggering.
Oh, absolutely. In finance, you have regulatory penalties from ASIC and APRA.
And in healthcare, errors cost thousands per incident in liability and compliance.
Right. And the source data has a fantastic example of this. An Australian healthcare provider deployed AI specifically for patient risk assessment. But again, how do you prove an AI prevented an error that never happened?
By using that historical baseline we talked about earlier.
Right.
They knew their exact average error rate over the previous 5 years. Once the AI was deployed, it flagged specific interventions that human doctors were missing.
And they could track that?
Yeah. They had an internal audit team verify those flags. The system successfully prevented 12 serious care errors annually compared to the historical baseline.
12 errors.
12. And when they calculated the standard liability and reputation cost, each prevented error was valued at over $500,000.
Wait, so 12 times 500,000, that's $6 million saved annually in liability alone.
It's staggering.
It really is, which leads directly into metric 4, speed and time reduction. So an Australian bank used AI to reduce their loan approval times from 5 days down to just 1 day.
It's a 400% faster approval cycle.
Right. But again, how does a CFO turn faster into actual dollars?
Because speed creates volume, and speed prevents drop-off.
Okay, say more about that.
In the legacy system, customers were abandoning their applications because they just didn't want to wait 5 days while a competitor could answer them in 2.
Right. They just go somewhere else.
Exactly. So by dropping the wait time to 1 day, the bank captured 10% more loan applications annually.
Oh, wow.
That additional volume generated over $500,000 in net new revenue. The AI didn't just make them faster, it made them a more attractive option in the marketplace.
That is such a smart way to measure it. So now we enter the territory that many CFOs fundamentally struggle with, but which the C9 framework manages to perfectly quantify.
The intangibles.
The intangibles. Metric 5 is customer satisfaction and retention. Now, slow down the math for me here. How do we take a soft metric like happiness and give it a hard dollar value?
You focus on the consequence of happiness.
Which is?
Retention. You measure the improvement in your Net Promoter Score, or NPS, and calculate how that directly correlates to a reduction in customer churn.
So if they're happier, they don't leave.
Right. And if they don't leave, you don't spend acquisition costs replacing them.
Okay, let's look at the SaaS company example in the data.
Sure. So a software as a service company saw a 5% improvement in their NPS because they used AI to instantly resolve support tickets.
Which people love. Nobody likes waiting for support.
Exactly. So that improved experience bumped their retention up, lowering churn by 2%.
Okay, let's do the math on that.
If you have a base of 1,000 customers and each has a lifetime value of $10,000. That 2% churn reduction equals $200,000 in retained revenue every single year.
Wow, you didn't acquire a single new customer, but your bottom line is 200K healthier.
Exactly.
That brings us to metric 6, which is operational efficiency beyond direct labor. So we're talking about waste reduction, resource optimization, and managing inventory.
Right.
There's an example here of an Australian manufacturing company that used AI for predictive demand forecasting rather than just guessing based on last year's spreadsheets.
Yeah, and the result was they were able to reduce their physical inventory by 15% without missing a single order.
15% is massive.
It is. It instantly freed up $500,000 in working capital that had just been sitting on warehouse shelves gathering dust.
So they just took that $500,000 and redeployed it into actual growth initiatives.
Exactly.
Which perfectly sets up the final metric, number 7, competitive and strategic value. This measures market share gains, new deal wins, and entirely new capability enablement.
And here's where it gets really interesting.
Yeah, because an Australian company deployed an AI-powered feature that absolutely none of their competitors had.
Right.
And because they could offer this exclusive AI-driven capability, they won a $2 million contract outright.
The ROI on that is practically infinite.
Because that deal fundamentally would not have been possible without the AI deployment.
Exactly. When you look at all 7 of these metrics together, labor, revenue, risk, speed, retention, efficiency, and strategy, you realize AI touches every single pillar of a business.
It really isn't just an IT department budget item anymore. It's an enterprise-wide transformation.
Absolutely.
But having the framework is only half the battle, right? The critical component is execution. Who actually builds this system, sets up the measurement dashboards, and does it without breaking the bank?
Right.
Because we know the AI cowboys are a disaster. And we know trying to build an in-house team from scratch takes a year. So how does C9 actually execute this for these enterprises?
Well, the C9 difference lies in their blended hybrid team model.
Okay, what does that mean?
It's specifically designed to bypass the friction of the Australian talent market. If you look at traditional onshore development, you are paying a massive, massive premium for Sydney or Melbourne salaries.
Oh, yeah. It's incredibly expensive to hire dedicated ROI architects locally.
Right. But if you look at traditional offshore development just to save money, you almost always run into communication chaos.
Mismatched time zones, highly variable quality.
Exactly. So C9 blends them strategically.
Oh, I see.
They use Australian ROI architects who deeply understand the local business context, the award wages we talked about, the regulatory environments like APRA and ASIC.
They get the local nuances.
Yes. And these local architects oversee an offshore execution team. You get the cost benefits of offshore execution, but you always have an Australian point of contact available during your normal business hours, steering the strategy.
That's really clever, but let me challenge that for a second. I'm looking at C9's remote-only staff augmentation tiers, and I don't quite get the logic of locking into a 6-month minimum when AI tech changes every single week.
Okay, let's break it down.
Because they offer a month-to-month option at $12,000 to $16,000, they offer a 3-month minimum at $10,000 to $14,000, and then the 6-month minimum at $9,000 to $13,000, which includes a 20% discount.
Right.
Wouldn't a month-to-month contract be safer for a business trying to stay agile? Why commit to 6 months?
You'd think month-to-month is safer, but here is where the reality of the productivity curve comes into play. It's pure economics.
Okay, how so?
In month 1, any augmented development team is in a learning phase. They are only about 60% productive because they are essentially learning your unique legacy systems, your company culture, and your specific data silos.
Right, you're basically paying them to get up to speed.
Exactly. By month 2, they enter the execution phase and hit 90% productivity. They're finally delivering real, measurable value.
Okay.
And then by month 3, they reach the mastery phase, hitting 110% productivity. They know your systems better than some of your own staff.
Ah, I see. So if you're just on a month-to-month contract, right when they hit that mastery phase, that specialized knowledge might just walk out the door when the short-term contract ends?
Exactly. With a 3 to 6 month minimum, they are deeply invested in your success. You get the benefit of that 110% productivity phase for a longer period, and you bypass the insane overhead of hiring locally in Sydney or Melbourne.
Wow.
Yeah, C9's model cuts your overall cost by 30 to 40% without any of the typical offshore communication issues.
Which brings us to what I think is the most crucial differentiator of all, knowledge transfer.
Oh, this is so important.
Remember the AI Cowboys we talked about? They build a system, hand over the login credentials, and disappear.
Or worse, they want you dependent on them forever just to read the data.
Exactly. But C9 does the exact opposite.
Right. They ensure you actually own the measurement capability. C9 trains your internal team not just on how to push the buttons on the software, but on how to interpret the ROI metrics on the dashboard.
Which is invaluable.
They teach your leaders how to optimize the AI based on that live data, and most importantly, how to build the business cases for Phase 2 independently.
Because, as the saying goes, ownership changes everything.
It really does.
Because when the C9 team eventually steps back, your internal team can confidently walk into that boardroom, look the CFO in the eye, and justify the ongoing investments with hard, unassailable data that they generated themselves.
Exactly. Now, to wrap up our analysis today, we need to quickly highlight the remaining pitfalls from the data that Australian businesses must avoid even when they do decide to measure.
Okay, let's run through them. We already covered mistake 1, which is only counting labor savings.
Right. Mistake number 2 is using the wrong baseline comparison.
Meaning?
You cannot credit the AI for normal, everyday productivity gains. You must isolate a strict business-as-usual baseline to compare against.
Makes sense.
Mistake number 3 is measuring too soon. This is a big one.
How soon is too soon?
Well, if you try to measure ROI at the 3-month mark, it will almost always show a negative return because of the upfront deployment costs and those learning curves we just discussed.
Right.
You have to measure quarterly over a full 12-month period to see the true compounding value of the technology.
Got it. And finally, mistake number 5 from the source text is attributing all business improvements solely to the AI.
Yeah, business is complex. Multiple factors influence outcomes.
So you need to use the control groups or the statistical analysis we talked about to isolate exactly what the AI accomplished versus what was just, a great sales month.
Exactly. If you can avoid those traps and implement a solid 7-metric framework, you fundamentally shift your posture. You move from hoping your technology works to mathematically proving that it dominates.
And that is exactly what we want for every single listener tuning in today. So here is your required next step.
Listen up, folks.
If you're ready to stop guessing and start proving your AI success on paper, you need to partner with C9 Australia's leading custom software, apps, integration, and database developer company.
Do not wait until the board is demanding answers you don't have.
Seriously, you can book your free, zero-obligation 90-minute discovery call today by visiting their website at www.c9.com.au. That is www.c9.com.au.
It truly is the single most important 90 minutes you will invest in your technology roadmap this entire year.
Absolutely. And to all our listeners, please remember to click that follow button so you never miss a deep dive. And definitely share this podcast with other C-level executives in your network who can benefit from this framework.
I'll leave you with this final, genuinely provocative thought to mull over.
Go for it.
We've talked entirely about how we measure the AI today, but consider this. As AI gets better at tracking and analyzing data, we are rapidly approaching a moment where your AI deployment won't just generate a return on investment. It will be fully capable of measuring, auditing, and reporting its own ROI to the board in real time.
Wow.
The technology will justify its own existence. So the question you need to ask yourself for 2026 is, will your CFO trust the AI grading its own homework?